Can I grab another vape?
We're starting right now. Go ahead, man. If you want to go grab that, go ahead. Yeah. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another installment of Taking It Back. My name is Adel Nero. I'm being joined by my good buddy Zach Payne. There he is.
Here
What's
I
up, Zach?
am.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for having me as always. I have a vape, but it's kind of on the low end on the battery. So I had like a fresh one right over there on the other side. I wanted to grab it.
We need you with all your all the performance enhancers you need, Zach. We need you at full
Right.
strength. I can't have you jonesing for your nicotine while we're mid show. That'd just be unacceptable.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, Muff.
uh, it's good to have you. Frank is out today. Frank has a sick daughter at home, so he's taking care of Aurora. So we wish them the best, and all the prayers out for a speedy recovery for the fam over there. But Zach, it's great to be with you. I hope you had a good week. And a shout out to the whole fam over on Badlands Media. Thank you for syndicating this show today. Let's just jump right in, Zach. I got kind of a scary story, not really story, but a scary article, I guess I should say, to kick us off with today. I saw this on the Gateway Pundit the other day. It says top international virologist issues dire warning, massive tsunami of death among highly vaccinated is imminent. Here's some quotes. He says, "What I'm predicting is a massive tsunami of illness and death among highly vaccinated populations with compromised immune systems." Bosch said, "You will see what will happen, for example, in the next coming week is more and more cases of more serious long COVID. They will start to replace the surge of cancers," he continued. "It will end up with a hyper-acute phase, a huge wave." He says, "The thing I want your audience to understand, what we'll be facing in the hyper-acute COVID crisis that is imminent, is that we will have to rebuild a completely new world," said Bosch. "It's very clear that when this starts, our hospitals will collapse, and that means the chaos in all kinds of layers of society, financial, economic, social, you name it, will be complete. What I can advise to all these vaccinated people, they need to avoid reinfection," the doctor said. "It is the reinfection of vaccinated people that is responsible for this situation. The only difference is you will not be able to wait to take antivirals until you have symptoms," he continued. "As soon as people see that in one of the other countries or one of the other states in the United States, when this starts with hospitalizations going up rapidly, they need to take antivirals prophylactically, not wait until they have any symptoms." And this is, I should have given you the credentials off the start. It says he's a world leading virologist. His name is Dr. Geert van den Bosch, and he's a Belgian virologist. And I guess this was on the Kutzler Cast podcast. He was making these statements. Have you seen this, Zach?
I have, yes. And the good doctor is a specialist in both virology and microbiology. So I think that people should definitely take this warning seriously. And if I can be perfectly honest, this is something that I've been anticipating myself and I've been waiting on. Several years ago when the mass vaccinations started up, there was some discussion about the delayed effects that were likely to present themselves at some point down the road, 2-3 years on down the line. And hopefully, as long as people make it past that to like the 5-year mark, then the thought is that their own immune systems would have been repaired to the point where they would sufficiently be able to fight off any of these viruses or any of these microbial agents. Now, the reasoning for the reinfection and people being susceptible to the ongoing infection of this biological agent is because those who have been vaccinated, and it doesn't necessarily mean like you got one jab so you keep your job, or you got one jab so you could fly to Bermuda or something. But people who have been vaccinated multiple times, and then people who have been vaccinated repeatedly. So we're talking about, first and second doses combined with boosters, and then additional boosters, and then additional boosters. I think that subset is rare. It's enough people that it could definitely cause some concern if we started seeing people dropping dead or filling up the hospitals. But it's not like it's a massive portion of the population. But those people who have had multiple doses, their immune system has been suppressed, and it's essentially been hijacked by the ingredients and the manner in which these mRNA vaccines actually operate. So rather than producing your own antibodies and having a sufficient white blood cell count that's going to be able to fight off any number of different sicknesses, instead, your body has essentially been programmed to only go after that initial version of whatever that COVID was. And even then, it didn't work very well. Mostly, it just turned your immune system into a spike production factory. So even if you don't come in contact with sick people or other illnesses, you have the possibility within your own self of creating a sort of hyper inflammatory situation, and it can kind of just self perpetuate. Again, I don't think that this is necessarily a death sentence for a large portion of the population. I think that there are definitely people out there who got maybe 1 or 2 doses and they very quickly recognize that this was a mistake and it's not something they want to do. Um, but if they are taking, if you are among that group of people who are highly at risk, I would certainly follow the doctor's orders there and start taking any type of antivirals that you can uh, on a prophylactic basis, because otherwise viruses are going to come into your body and your body's not going to have any way to fight them off. And I think that he's right. I think that we are probably going to see deaths and it's going to be noticeable. Um, I hope, but I don't anticipate it won't happen, that the powers that be uh, may end up using that as some sort of an excuse to say, "Hey, oh, we have a resurgence, et cetera, et cetera." Maybe trying to convince people to take the jabs if they didn't take them before. But I'm not a doctor, not medical advice. But for myself and for my family, that's certainly not the type of advice that I'm going to accept. I am not going to be getting jabbed. I never will get jabbed. I'm so glad I didn't get jabbed. And I would suggest that when they tell you that we have another pandemic that's erupting, it's not a pandemic of the unvaccinated, as they've had a habit of saying. This is going to be a pandemic of the vaccinated. This is the fallout, the inevitable fallout of people taking this experimental genetic modification shot into their bodies, because we did not know, or the general public didn't know what the overall long-term effects were going to be. I do believe that the health authorities, the pharmaceutical industrial complex, they were 100% aware of what was going to happen. You can go back and look at the animal studies of mRNA jabs, dating back years, and all of them died. So it's not like we couldn't see what was coming. And my heart goes out to the people who are going to be in a position where they feel that their life is at risk. I mean, I know we've got people in the audience who got jabbed. I mean, it was an impossible situation to be faced with, Adel. Not everybody that listens to the shows or, that's here in America was in a position to take a stand like that. I mean, like, it's a lot easier to just capitulate, and I hope that for anybody who did capitulate, that it's a hard lesson that will be well learned, and that in the future, when you're told that you must do something and you have the feeling that it's not in your best interest in terms of your health and your wellness, listen to your gut, and listen to the dissenting voices out there. Remember that the authorities, this bureaucratic deep state that has infected all these different levels of society, remember that your health and wellness is not in their best interest. They make money on you being sick. And if you die, that's just one less person they have to worry about revolting against their agenda.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm looking at the CDC's website right now. Let me bring this up on the screen. And you can see the vaccination rates here. So people that got at least one dose is kind of crazy, actually. 95% of people over 65 years old, 92% of people over 18 years old. That's nuts. They got to 92% of the population on
Yeah.
at least one dose. That seems high to me, Zach.
It
I
seems
don't,
way, way high to me too. I just don't. I mean, if those numbers are correct, then I mean, I'm totally wrong, and we're probably going to see a lot more deaths than I would anticipate. But
So when
you
you
know,
look at the updated, it doesn't look as bad. Some states you have more than 25% of the population,
mhm,
Minnesota, Maine, a lot of the Northeast.
mhm.
But it looks like most states fall between 10 and 25% of their population are fully updated on their booster. I mean, that is significant. If
It definitely is.
25% of the population is in danger of just dropping dead or getting severely ill in the next few years, that's going to create all kinds of societal issues, all kind of infrastructural issues as when it comes to just keeping the lights on in this country. You're talking massive economic repercussions. I mean, supply chain repercussions. I mean, this is going to be a generational issue, something that I don't know how devastating it's going to be, but my gut tells me even losing 15% of the population to this would be massive. It would be very difficult to deal with as a society.
If first of all, it would not surprise me at all if these numbers were inflated beyond possible reason. But if it is the case, and we do have a mass die off of American citizens, there is going to be a need for a lot of jobs to be filled. And they just so happen to have imported tens of millions of undocumented illegals. And that may be part of their plan. It would also give them the opportunity to roll out mass usage of AI in various sectors of society. We're very close to having autonomous, generative intelligent AI. And those also may be ready to roll out. I mean, they may say, hey, in the interest of society not collapsing, it is now imperative that we actually roll this technology out. It's just so that we can keep the lights on.
Yeah, yeah. There's all kind of ways they could leverage this against the people and bring in an even more intense level of tyranny than we're already experiencing.
Mhm.
Uh,
And what is that? What is that? That little landmass off the coast of the Carolinas out there? What is that? Oh, that's DC, District of Columbia.
yeah,
95%. Hey, let me just say this. No,
that's
silver lining, right?
that's one boost, but they're at a 32% fully boosted. So
Oh, well,
I
we could
mean,
deal without 32% of the federal government, I'll tell you.
we know they didn't get the real vaccine. Let's be
Yeah.
honest. They're
Yeah. Well, no, I think definitely lawmakers didn't. Well, I mean, they clearly did to some people. Nancy Mace had a negative reaction.
that's
Um,
right. Forgot about
yeah.
her.
So, here's the thing. I think that, even among the people who did get boosted and, all of the multiple shots, the ingredients list in these jabs differed, it would appear, from batch to batch. So you're going to have some batches that appear to be just all placebo, that are nothing. And then you're going to have others that are highly damaging. I mean, if you are among the vaccinated, if you are among the jabbed, you can go to the website, How Bad Is My Batch, howbadismybatch.com. You can look up your jab batch and you can actually see how many people have reported adverse reactions for that specific batch. And, definitely you're going to have some people who there are no negative reactions from certain batches. And then you're going to have other batches which show you that, pretty much everybody who got one ended up having some sort of negative reaction. Yeah, I sincerely hope for everybody's sake that if you did get jabbed, you are among the people who received one of those placebo doses. But I'll be praying for the people who didn't.
Yeah, it's really scary stuff. And then this is kind of related too. Tennessee Senate passes bill prohibiting vaccines and food, awaiting governor's signatures. And basically, what they did was they wrote a bill saying that if you start basically injecting either produce or livestock with mRNA,
Hmm.
then you would need a prescription to buy it in this state. Like a doctor would have to write you a script
That's
to
good.
buy that food, which I thought was an interesting way. They basically said, okay, you turn it from food into a drug, a prescription drug. So a doctor would have to prescribe you an amount of spinach or lettuce or whatever. Like
I'm
this
gonna
is
prescribe you a head of cabbage. Just do me a favor, eat it all in one sitting. So yeah, I had actually heard about that when they were discussing it in the state legislature. There was like this amount of ridicule that was being thrown out as they were discussing it. And the guy who brought it to the attention, I believe he was like a state senator or a state house member, and he was like, hey, I'm not making this up. It's written right here in this research paper. I mean, they're admitting that they're planning to do this. So, it's a good idea to get ahead of it. Was it Tennessee who also outlawed chemtrails in the skies? Yes.
Yeah, they got some based state government in Tennessee. I got to say, as far as
Yes.
governments go, I'd say Tennessee's is at least they have some representation there that
Yeah.
seems like they understand what's going on and actually are representing and protecting their people from a lot of this geoengineering and just really evil population control agenda that we see going on. You brought up about the workforce and the illegals, that are being imported. What's so frustrating about that, Zach, is we actually do need immigrants. Like our workforce is aging.
Hmm.
We have a bunch of, I don't know, like everyone's getting college degrees. Like the trades are hurting. Like it's going to be hard to find a good plumber or electrician or like just basic contractors in this country. I feel like over the next 20, 30 years, as a lot of people retire and die off, we're not reproducing the way we were earlier. So it's not like we don't need immigrants. It's so frustrating to me that the way they're going about this, like you could be vetting people, bringing in people that actually want to contribute to society, bring people in with the plan of, sending them to a trade school or, you know what I mean? Like actually creating a workforce. Instead, we're bringing in like scum, it would
Yeah.
appear, like criminals, crazy people, people that have no interest in really assimilating into our society or working for that matter. Many of them just want the free handouts and the welfare. Uh, that's so frustrating to me because it's like we could come to some agreement here and actually make immigration a net positive for this country, for our economy, for our workforce and everything. But the way they go about it is just always at the detriment of the American working middle class.
It's
It's so
true.
evil.
Well, I
Makes no
mean, even more than just the detriment to the middle class. I mean, it's a detriment to all of society. I mean, it's not just people that are coming here because they know that they're going to get taken care of. You've got people that are coming here because they know that Americans are easy to exploit in some really dastardly and criminal ways. I mean, every single day I have like a segment on the show where I just talk about, the gotaways who are guilty of murder and raping children and, organized criminal gangs. And you got morons like the state government of Massachusetts, which keeps arresting these people and then just spitting them back out on the street. And, they're not getting punished. They're not getting entered into our criminal justice system, what's left of it. They just get let out. They open the jail cell door. They go outside and they just go pick up another brick of fentanyl. Or they go
yeah.
pick up another 12-year-old to rape, or they carjack another car and they shoot a girl in the head and dump her on the side of the road like garbage. It just keeps happening over and over and over again. And I don't know that these people, the bureaucrats, the ivory tower deep state members, I don't know that they're going to be willing to do anything about it unless it touches them specifically. I was kind of excited recently when I saw that illegals were moving into LeBron James's neighborhood. Let's see what happens if they move into Oprah's bungalow in Los Angeles. Try taking over a home in Martha's Vineyard. Why don't you guys? I mean, let's see what happens then. Because at that point, it will be directly affecting the people who have created the problem. And I mean, it's inevitable. It will happen. It's just going to have to filter all throughout the rest of our layers of society. And along the way, it's going to hurt us. It's going to hurt our children. And it has to be dealt with. I honestly don't believe that it's going to get to that point. I mean, sure, we may see more unrest. We're likely to continue having discussions about criminal, illegal aliens who are dealing drugs and raping and murdering, robbing, squatting. I mean, it's going to keep happening. But I think that when Donald Trump returns, I mean, all bets are off. All those people are going to get kicked out. I think that it's likely that we'll see a massive movement of federal funds from a lot of these agencies that seem to have redundancies with state government functions. And Donald Trump is going to have to hire probably the largest influx of ICE and CBP employees in history, because that's the only way we're going to be able to find these people and round them up.
Yeah. Yeah, I look forward to seeing how that's handled and how aggressive Donald Trump is with getting these criminals out of the country. And whether they're violent and actually have committed crimes here, they all are criminals. The second they cross that border illegally, they became criminals. So, and of course, there's another hoax, where Donald Trump called Laken Riley's killer an animal. Did you see this? The mainstream media is
Oh,
trying to conflate that into all immigrants are animals, according to Donald Trump. They just never stop, Zach. This is the
yeah.
bloodbath thing. Good people on both sides. It's such predictable and like obscene bullshit that they keep pushing. And the only people that have to be buying it right now are the people that want to. The
Yeah.
TDS, that 15-20% of the country that's so far left and just hates Donald Trump no matter what. They'll believe anything that's said about him. But
Yeah.
what's so pathetic is the desperation, because they have to know that 70% of the country sees that, and they know exactly what they're doing.
I think that it's a combination of things. Certainly desperation, also lack of imagination. I think that they have a playbook that has worked for decades, and they are simply unable to innovate. They know that they're basically standing between a rock and a hard place, and Donald Trump is coming for them, and their old tricks are not working. They're going to continue saying the same stuff. They're going to continue making up the same old racist tropes, and the American people see it. I mean, like, people don't buy it anymore. Everybody knows. I mean, you go on X, Twitter, and you can take a look at the Biden campaign's tweet where they posted that out, and it's like one right after another, over and over and over again. It's like getting fact checked in real time. And I don't know if there's any community notes on there. I don't know if they allow the Biden camp to get community noted, but I don't even think it's necessary. I mean, everybody sees it, everybody knows it, and you're right. It's just 20% of the population who simply can't see anything else.
Yeah, yeah, they're completely lost. But again, when you're led by hatred and fear, it makes you extremely easy to manipulate. All right, let's take a minute and say thank you to a couple of our wonderful sponsors on today's program. The first one being Love Litters. Attention, all you Badlanders with purring pals and feathered friends. Say hello to Love Litters. 100% pure, kiln-dried wood, free from chemicals, and oh so kind to Mother Earth. No dust, no mess, and no toxins. Just a lightweight solution that's gentle on your wallet and even gentler in your home. Our biodegradable litter is crafted from wood destined for landfills, giving it a new purpose in your pet's life. Cats love it. Our astonishing formula works like magic to neutralize that notorious cat urine, keeping your home pine fresh and welcoming. For bird lovers, it zaps moisture from bird droppings, crumbling them away, all while being safe if pecked at or ingested. For reptiles and critters too, our mix is crafted to dilute the pine scent, ensuring those little lungs stay happy and healthy. Plus, every 30-pound bag of Love Litters will last up to 6 months, saving you money. Transform your pet care routine today. Visit badlandsmedia.tv/litter. That's badlandsmedia.tv/litter, and breathe easy with a litter that loves your pets as much as you do. And we also have our friends at Goldco sponsoring today's broadcast. Are you concerned about the $6 trillion at stake in the upcoming 2024 election? The Wall Street Journal has reported a critical issue, the looming decision on extending tax cuts scheduled to expire after 2025. Republicans advocate for extending Trump's tax cuts, while the Democrats lean towards letting them expire and increasing taxes on top earners and corporations, potentially creating a massive $6 trillion gap. But fear not, there's a way to protect yourself from this impending threat. Join the thousands of hardworking Americans who are taking proactive steps to safeguard their savings. Visit Badlandsgold.com to claim your free 2024 gold and silver kit and fortify everything you've worked for. You may even qualify for up to 10% back in bonus silver, but hurry, supplies are limited. Don't leave your financial future to chance. Act now to diversify and shield your savings against the uncertainties ahead. Get your free 2024 gold and silver kit today at badlandsgold.com and take control of your financial destiny. So big thank you to both of our sponsors there, Love Litters and Goldco. Please go support them. Also, hit that thumbs up button for us if you're watching on Rumble. If you're watching on Pilled, please hit the red pill and repost the show. And yeah, thank you guys so much.
If you guys would definitely, if you definitely hit the like if you're on Rumble on 412, but definitely, if you're watching on Badlands, hit that like, because the likes on the shows let John and the owners of Badlands know which shows they need to continue airing on this platform. So if you like us and you like watching us on Badlands, the best thing you can do is to hit that like button so that they know this is a show that should stay on the air. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you guys for doing that. We'd love to stay on the air with Badlands as long as they'll have us here. So thank you for the support, and yeah, really appreciate that. All right, let's go to this next. Another kind of concerning story here that I feel like we need to cover it. Here comes World War III. Tony Blinken announces Ukraine will be joining NATO, pushes U.S. closer to nuclear war with Russia. Now, this is a little bit of clickbait because it's not like it's happening right now. But well, I'll let you guys listen to the comments from the man himself.
Ukraine.
Hold on, I think. There we go.
Ukraine, the determination of every country represented here at NATO remains rock solid. We will do everything that we can. Allies will do everything that they can to ensure that Ukraine has what it needs to continue to deal with Russia's ongoing aggression against Ukraine, an aggression that gets worse with every passing day. Ukraine will become a member of NATO. Our purpose at the summit is to help build a bridge to that membership and to create a clear pathway for Ukraine moving forward.
But, of course, we believe that Ukraine deserves to be a member of NATO and that this should happen rather sooner.
So the big implications here, Zach, are that would basically send us to war against Russia, right? If Ukraine were to join, any NATO country that's attacked, essentially they're attacking the United States as well. And we've seen so many efforts to antagonize Russia, get them to go beyond a certain threshold and get American troops on the ground, or get America and other countries more directly involved in their conflict. Now you're seeing, I think, what's probably the biggest escalation of all is pushing for Ukraine to join NATO. What's the end game here? Or is the Gateway pundit right? Is it World War III? Is that what they're going for?
Yes, I tend to think so. Certainly, this is a distressing change in messaging. For years, the United States and the NATO-aligned nations have promised Russia that Ukraine would not become part of NATO. It's been pretty clear that they've been trying to push that line as far as they can. And now with the explicit statement that Ukraine will join NATO, if this military action is still ongoing at that time, then yes, I have no doubt in my mind that NATO would end up sending troops into Ukraine, and that would significantly raise the stakes on this conflict. I mean, it would go from being a smaller regional conflict to being a full-fledged global conflict. I mean, it really would be World War III.
Yeah, it's incredibly scary. And I give Putin a lot of credit because he has been kind of the adult in the room. He hasn't escalated things beyond where they need to be, despite all of the provocation from the West. He could have easily been pushed to the point of starting a more serious, wide-ranging conflict, and hasn't yet to this point. But Ukraine joining NATO would certainly potentially be the straw that broke the camel's back there, and sent us to a really awful place,
Mhm.
which probably is probably the goal, right? With the election coming up, they know they're losing. They need something big. They need something drastic, something that's going to reset the news cycle, a shiny object to distract people away from so many other things, and something to blame all of their shortcomings on. I feel like if they have a war, a world war or a war with Russia, all of a sudden anything that their incompetence causes, whether it's economically or otherwise, they can then turn around and say, well, it's because we're at war right
Oh,
now,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. I
Not
mean, it would immediately increase the rhetoric for calls to depose Vladimir Putin, to liberate the people of Russia, to stop Putin from his war of aggression, and it would also allow for essentially unrestrained, ongoing warfare and massive influx of dollars into the military-industrial complex. And this is what they always want to do. They always want to have some kind of low intensity, long term global action taking place so that they can justify the expenditure of money, so that they can continue to prop up the economy using that. And, I mean, you look at what's going on. I mean, the military industrial complex is a huge part of the U.S. economy. And so what do they want to do? I mean, they need people shooting. They need people sending off missiles. They need tanks to blow up because that's the only way that they're going to continue to replenish that supply. If there isn't fighting going on, then you've got tanks rusting. You've got bullets that are going to be taken on water. I mean, you're going to have a bunch of inventory that's going to get wasted.
Yeah, that's a good point. And then the other conflict, obviously, is what's going on in the Gaza Strip with Israel and Palestine, and now Israel's bombing other people. There was this article I saw about the White House canceling their annual Ramadan dinner because the Muslims are refusing to attend. I mean, I feel like this might be the biggest underlying story going into the election is the loss of support from the Arab community in places like Minnesota, Michigan. It could end up costing Joe Biden those states in the election if the people in like Dearborn, around Detroit, aren't showing up to the polls. They're not voting for Biden. They're kind of protesting, holding their vote back, or even flipping to Donald Trump because of the way Joe Biden has handled this whole conflict and situation. Do you think he'll be able to repair those relationships between now and November? Because he seems to be going a little harder at Netanyahu and Israel now, but I don't know. Like there seems to be already a lot of damage done, but there is some time between now and the election. How do you see Joe Biden handling this, and will it matter?
I think that the Muslim population will accept whatever sort of overtures Biden wants to make, but I think that the writing's already on the wall, and that support that was once there is gone, and it's not going to come back. I think that long term, another Biden regime, 4 more years in D.C., it's going to be detrimental in a way that is difficult to really quantify, if you don't like set your house on fire. I mean, that's basically what it's going to be for the country. And I think that no matter where your allegiances lie, or what gods you worship, I think that people recognize that. I mean, the Muslims who previously didn't care for Donald Trump, I mean, the one thing that Trump had over Biden was that there wasn't Palestinians being indiscriminately killed. I mean, like you had peace, and you were moving towards a world where everybody was going to be able to survive. They were going to be able to coexist. They were, moving towards a likely statehood at some point. But now it seems that the current regime in Israel will accept nothing less than the utter devastation of Hamas, and along with that, the Palestinian people. And whatever Joe Biden does, I don't think it's going to matter. I mean, I'm actually kind of concerned about the talks of regime change in Israel. You know, the United States has done a great job of destabilizing regions and nations all around the world. And I feel like that is inevitably what would happen if that was to take place. I don't know that it would be good for the region. I think that, you know, there is a path to kind of deep state eyes the various nations of the world, and going in with a heavy hand like they have with so many other countries. I just feel like that's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, I feel like there's got to be a way to get rid of the dark forces that run these countries. Um, I have no hate in my heart for the average person on either side of this thing, but the leaders in both Israel, the state of Israel, is a terrorist state. Let's make no mistake about it. They've always been a terrorist state, and Palestine and Hamas, they have their problems too. I mean, they're clearly guilty of atrocities on their end as well.
Hmm.
Uh, like you said, at least under Donald Trump, you did have peace. There was at least some level of stability in the region for that period of time, which has gone completely out the window
Hmm.
right now. The point where Donald Trump was being nominated for Nobel Peace Prize, I think, for
He should win.
yeah. I mean, he won't.
No, no, you know, I mean, it's not the first time, you know, he's been nominated a couple of times now. I mean, I think that, you know, if anybody deserved it, it was him. You know, I mean, I remember Barack Obama's first term. You know, he had barely moved into the White House, and they already had him nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. And you know, he accepted it somewhat graciously, and then immediately turned around and started drone striking American citizens. So, so
Exactly.
peaceful.
So, you know what I'm really sick of though, Zach, is like the conservative media, like Fox News, Newsmax, even America's Voice, which I like a lot of the people on there, all the way through like a lot of the Con Inc. independent media people. They continue to hide behind anti-Semitism when talking about Israel. It drives me fucking crazy. They're
Yeah.
using the tactics of the left and the Marxist media to defend the indefensible a lot of the times. Like instead of having an honest debate and conversation about these things, any criticism of Israel, once you get beyond a certain level of independence in media, becomes met with nothing but you're a Jew hater, you're anti-Semitic, without any actual conversation about the content of what's being discussed.
Yeah.
I saw it. I was just flipping through, and I landed on what's his name, Greg Stinchfield, I think is his name. He's on
Hmm.
American Voice, and he was talking about what Israel was doing and how they had killed like an aid caravan or a bunch of people on an aid caravan.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "Look, that's not good, obviously." But and then he just goes and like defends it completely and basically says, if you have a problem with that, you're a Jew hating anti-Semite. He said anti-Semite's not even a strong enough word. You're a Jew hater, is like what he said. It was like so disgusting. I'm like, man, like you turn into everything you claim to hate the second one of your sacred cows is under question or does something that isn't good. I mean, my God, it's so
Yeah.
frustrating.
It is pretty ridiculous, and I think it's also ridiculous to try to make the argument that Israel didn't know who was in that aid caravan. You know, I mean, like if I'm not mistaken, those were like Americans. Like there was definitely Westerners in there. I mean, they were you know, they were just people doing humanitarian work, and yeah, I think that with the level of intelligence that Israel is able to command in that region, I just don't see it. I don't think it's possible that they weren't aware of what was gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole conflict was started because Israel allowed it to happen. There's no way Hamas is able to get in there and perform October 7th
Mm-hmm.
without Israel opening the doors essentially and welcoming them in to slaughter their citizens, to create that problem reaction solution. The
Mm-hmm.
whole thing disgusts me, Zach. It absolutely disgusts me because you're gonna have tens of thousands of lives lost that didn't need to happen. Tremendous amounts of resources wasted, a destabilization of a a region of the world that desperately needs a little peace and
Oh, yeah.
structure right now. And then just the infighting it causes in our own country, and the division and everything that it breeds all over the world, all easily could have been avoidable, all coordinated, and using the outrage from it to create more atrocities against humanity. um I don't know, I'm just so.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
All right, let's move on from that before I get more upset. And this was interesting to me. Marjorie Taylor Greene has been all over Mike Johnson recently, and she's gone as far as to say he's essentially a Democrat similar to Nancy Pelosi. She's had it with the spending, had it with the lack of negotiation. She says, quote, and here Mike Johnson, he's literally turned into Mitch McConnell's twin and worse. He's a Democrat. There's not even any daylight between him and Nancy Pelosi at this point. Talking about the $1.2 trillion spending bill, which Green filed a motion to vacate the speaker over, says this is a betrayal of the American people. It's a betrayal of the Republican voters. The Republican-controlled House just passed a $1.2 trillion spending bill. It doesn't secure the border, but funds full-term abortion and trans ideology on our youth. I filed a motion to vacate because the House needs a speaker who's able to win for Republicans and our constituents. And she goes on and on, but she's really coming at him. She says we cannot get anyone more moderate than Mike Johnson. So they asked if she was asked, are you worried that vacating Mike Johnson would lead to a more moderate speaker? And her response is, we cannot get any more moderate than Mike Johnson. I would argue Mike Johnson, we can't get any further left than Mike Johnson. I think the Democrats might be happier with him than they are with Hakeem Jeffries. So she's coming out swinging against Mike Johnson. I got to say, I understand both sides of this in a way. I understand with the razor thin majority Republicans have, and when you consider the significant group of them that are more establishment oriented, more rhino, more rhino than anything else. Mike Johnson's in kind of a tough spot, but I have been extremely disappointed with Mike Johnson. I thought he would play a little bit more hardball, not be so afraid of his own shadow. He's refused to use any of the budgeting or debt ceiling negotiations to get anything done. And he's continued to allow the deep state to spend at levels that they were spending while the Democrats still held the House. There's been nothing done to curb the weaponization of the IRS, the FBI, the DOJ, or any of the other three-letter agencies that continue to attack Americans. And it's been honestly business as usual. It is kind of hard to tell the difference between a Republican and a Democrat speaker at this point. The only difference is the committees and the investigations, the impeachments and things like that. We've gotten some decent appointments there and gotten some decent work out of those people, but it hasn't really yielded any tangible results. I can't tell you that we would be any further along in the Great Awakening or anything like that had we not had these investigations going. I can't think of anything that's super bombshell that's come out of the House that's really moved the needle at all. Unless I'm not thinking of something. I feel like we've been kind of sold a false bill of goods with this Republican Congress from the very start.
I don't disagree with you at all, but I think that the information that has been coming out has been specifically designed to be that slow drip, drip, drip. It's not just like puking up of all of this information, because if that happened, then Americans would be able to forget about it very quickly. This way, it's this constant and consistent release of information, and the investigations are ongoing, and it's very thorough, and they're having hearings, and it gets reported on every single day. If everything had just happened all at once, then people would have gotten caught up, and their attention would be occupied with the next shiny thing. This way it happens slowly, and I think that we're going to have an acceleration before the election. That's generally how it works. There's like some October surprise. Things are going to be revealed. And I do think that we will have a full impeachment of Joe Biden. I think that the best thing we could hope for would be for that to be going on in the midst of the presidential election. People go to the polls and Joe Biden's, being impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors. Hunter Biden, I mean, his trial is going to happen before then. I think quite a bit has been revealed to the American public. And I think that overall, across the board, people have a much better understanding of just how corrupt Washington, D.C. is. And yeah, Mike Johnson has been a disappointment. It really has. He hasn't been any different, really, than Kevin McCarthy. Okay, so he finally put out some January 6 videos. Awesome, but there's a lot more that I would prefer was happening. I'm not a fan of him continuously talking about the funding of the conflict in Ukraine. There is a lot of pain that people are experiencing here at home, and to ignore the issues that are facing America, I think that it's a bad decision for him to make. Now, I mean, there's only so much they can do. I think they understand that if they were to do certain things, Biden would just override it. But I also don't think that they have the votes to get these things done now. They may have like a one-seat majority in the House, but are all of those Republicans like actual America firsters? I think not. I think it's quite obvious that at least a fair number of them are rhinos. And so, they're not really able to get anything of note passed through, and as a result, Americans continue to witness it. Americans continue to pay attention. Also, over here, Hari Ananda wanted to know why we're not talking about sealed indictments. Hari, I talked about sealed indictments for years. I'm aware that the indictment list continues to grow. Me personally, I feel like I'll talk about it when it's relevant again. I mean, there's only so many times you can say, look at how many more sealed indictments there are. It just, gets tiresome. So when those indictments get unsealed, yeah, that's probably what I'm going to talk about. I feel like I've said it so many times. If you don't know that there are sealed indictments at this point, then you need to go back a couple of years and do some research. But, no disrespect. I just want you to know that that's why I'm not talking about it. I mean, I've talked about it so many times.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. We'll talk about it, Zach, and then you'll get three other people to be like opium, dealing opium.
Yeah.
The only thing that the only thing I really give Mike Johnson a hard time, like legislatively, I knew it was anything they passed was going to be ceremonial. Just the pass of like HR2, the border bill. You knew that wasn't going to make it through the Senate. Joe Biden wasn't going to sign it. Anything they try to do from a legislative standpoint isn't going to work. But they did have leverage from the very time they took the majority in the House. They had leverage over the purse. They had leverage over the budget, the debt ceiling. The Democrats need that federal money to do what they want to do. I mean, it funds everything that they use. You have all the leverage in that situation. They're too afraid of a government shutdown in their name. Like that was ultimately the problem. That's my biggest criticism is they refuse to play hardball with the left. They refuse to say, no, like we're not giving you a damn penny for any of this until you do A, B, or C. Shut down the border, whatever it might be. Defund the IRS, all those extra agents. Some win for the American people. Or yeah, fine, we'll shut down the government. Well, that's fine. We'll own it. Most people aren't gonna blame us for it anyway. But instead they kind of, like I said, they cowered at the sight of their own shadow. Is MTG being too harsh on Mike Johnson? No, you think she's being?
I think that I think that it's an important message that she's putting out there. I mean, like, do we have representation in Washington, D.C.? The answer is no. I mean, what does that spur people on to do? It spurs them to take action, and it spurs them to get involved in the process. We need to have candidates with integrity who are going to run against these people. And there needs to be a groundswell of effort coming from the American people because, I mean, we put a lot of pressure on these people in the last couple of years, and in many different ways it's been successful. But, we haven't broken through that electoral glass ceiling, if you will. And we need to do that. I think that this upcoming election is going to be a watershed moment. I mean, we're not just going to bring Donald Trump back, but I think we're going to bring a lot of people along with him that are going to be willing to support his agenda. And, at that point, when we have, not only new representation in Washington, D.C., but also a whole new crop of federal employees who are controlling something like the Department of Justice or the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or maybe closing down the Central Intelligence Agency, then I think that you will see movement that is in a wholly different direction. I mean, I think that Donald Trump understands that in order to be successful, he's got to have the people behind him, not just us out here in America, not just the flyover country, but the actual people that are making up that federal workforce in the public administrative sector of government. If he doesn't have those people, then it's impossible for him to get anything done. And so I think we need to see that happen in order for the type of change, the type of representation that we want and that we need in DC.
Yeah, no, I think that's really well said.
Yeah.
All right, we got 2 more sponsors here. We'll take care of those. We'll come back on the other side and wrap this up. Our next sponsor is our friends at Good Ranchers. We'll be right back.
T-bone,
Good.
chicken,
Good.
bacon,
Good.
salmon,
Good.
ground beef,
Good.
ribeye,
Good.
ranchers,
Good.
ranchers.
Good Ranchers delivers the best meat and seafood America has to offer, and we ship it straight to your door from real farms and ranches right here in the USA. So whether it's beef, chicken, pork, or seafood, you know it's gonna be good.
Ranchers, ranchers.
All right, our final sponsor today, Mike Lindell and MyPillow.
I'm excited to announce we're having a huge MyPillow spring sale. And here's a few examples. Buy one of our MyPillow 2.0s, you get another MyPillow 2.0 absolutely free. Made with cooling technology, the best pillow ever just got even better. And this just in, 9 brand new colors and styles of our Percale bed sheets. They're made with the finest long staple cotton, and now you can save 50% or more. That's as low as $24.98. And for the first time this year, I'm bringing you our My Slippers and Sandals for as low as $25 a pair. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your MyPillow 2.0s. Buy one, get one free. Percale sheets as low as $24.98. My Slippers and Sandals as low as $25 a pair. And for a limited time, when you order $75 or more, your entire order ships absolutely free.
All right, again, thank you guys so much for continuing to support the sponsors. Please hit that thumbs up button if you're watching on Rumble, especially you guys on Badlands Media. We'd love to stay on the air over there, and your likes, your thumbs ups are going to help us do that. So we really appreciate it. If you're watching on pill.net, be sure to hit that red pill button and repost the show. And it is time to wrap this one up. Zach, thank you again for the time. It's always fun spending these Thursdays with you. I know you're going live in about 5 minutes. What are you talking about today?
I am going to be largely talking about that color revolution taking place in Israel right now at the behest of the Biden administration, and the possible implications and machinations taking place behind the scenes. Real quick, Hari Ananda said she was going to drop that link to the indictments, but you haven't done it yet. Make sure you do that, and do it before the end of the show so that Adel can grab it and send it over to me. Also, Risto says you should look into the Bluegrass Conspiracies book. Great true story. My cousin and husband took care of that place for years, said the farm is haunted as well. Okay, Bluegrass Conspiracies. I'll check it out. I love Thursdays. Thank you very much for having me on. As always, hit that like button because it's the best way you can show your support of the show. It's absolutely free, and I'll be live at 5 p.m. We'll see you, buddy.
Right on. Later, Zach. Have a good one.
You too.
There he goes. Zach Payne of redpill78news.com going live in just a few minutes. He's everywhere. He's on Rumble. He's on pill.net and a bunch of other places, but those are the two main ones. You can just go to redpill78news.com and get all of the Red Pill 78 content you can handle. Zach is amazing. We absolutely love him. And also shout out to our other co-host, Frankie Val, who couldn't make it today. I don't know if he's listening or not, but Frank, if you are listening, we love you, brother. And I hope Aurora is feeling better very, very soon. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it here for today. If you guys want to follow me, my name is Adel Nero. My channel is 412 Productions. You can find that on pill.net, on Rumble, DLive, Cloud Hub, Odyssey, and Twitter. I'd love to see you guys over on one of our other 4 o'clock broadcasts. We do go live from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. And if you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at 412anon87, on Truth Social at 412. Or like I said, find us on any of the streaming platforms at 412 Productions. But that is pretty much going to do it. We'll read our gold pill chats that came in throughout the show, and then we're going to bounce up out of here. Let's see. We have just a few today. We got Floyd with a tucking it back cookie. Thank you, Floyd. Boys Blanc, Ohio Kimmy. Thank you for the cookies. World Debt Now says cheers, Adel and Zach. Cheers to you, my friend. Thank you. Brewbark says, when is the proposed signing of the WHO treaty? It gives them total control over government's response. I don't know. I don't know when that's happening, to be completely honest. I heard about that. Hate that that's happening, but I'm not sure when or how that's all happening. Due diligence. Floyd says Ukraine can't join NATO. Ukraine isn't and hasn't been a sovereign country since 25 December 91. Well, I think that's why Blinken was talking about creating a bridge to make that happen. I think they know that it's not as simple as they're making it sound. So I don't know. I wish I understood the diplomacy end of things well enough to tell you what would need to be done and how that would work. I honestly don't know, but I hear what you're saying, Floyd. I hear what you're saying, but these people kind of do what they want. They break all the rules, and anything to further consolidate power, control, and wealth, they'll do it. So Ohio Kimmy, thank you for the shades. Tomcat 01 New Jersey says, awesome show. Thank you, Zach and 412. Thank you for the support. And Floyd says, cheers to another great show. And there you go. That's the gold pills for today. We did, let me take a look, 1,317. So I appreciate the support, guys. We'll release the scratch-in since we didn't do it yesterday. So go ahead and grab your ticket and win a little something back on the way out the door. That bridge doesn't exist. Yeah, well, that's good. That's comforting, because if they were to join, that would create a really, really bad situation, and essentially a powder keg just waiting to go off. So like I said, we'll see what happens there. All right. That's it. Thank you guys so much. For Zach Payne of redpill78news.com. Shout out to Frankie Val of quitefrankly.tv. My name is Adel Nero. This has been Taking It Back, a 412 production syndicated by our very good friends on Badlands Media. Have a wonderful rest of your Thursday, everybody, and I hope to see you all tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern time for another installment of Deplorable Discussions. Good night, everybody.